Welcome to Precision Animal Training, where we teach big lessons through the lens of getting precise science-based behavior. I'm Kier like your ear, Kirsten, Kral like a baby Kraljevic, animal trainer, behavior nerd, and your host. This is a show about real, lasting change. The science of precision, the power of pursuing perfect timing, the art of truly seeing and shaping behavior. Whether you're working with chickens, dogs, dolphins, parrots, horses, or even ourselves, expect real stories from the field, timeless principles that transfer across species, and practical insights you can apply immediately. Because if you can train a chicken with clarity, kindness, and razor-sharp precision, you can train almost anything. So grab a notebook. This is your personal masterclass in curiosity, mechanics, and true behavioral understanding. Today, we're joined by two giants in the field, Dr. Bob Bailey and Phung Luu. In this episode, we trace Phung's journey from rural Vietnam to training birds on U.S. Air Force bases and leading innovative programs at top zoos and aquariums. You'll discover how blending instinct with structure transformed his training, why observation is everything, and what it really means to empower animals and people. If you've ever wondered how world-class trainers merge feel with systems and build real connection, this conversation will change how you see the work. Let's get started. So welcome to Deep Fried Studios. I'm Kirsten Kraljevic, and I'm here with two giants in the industry of animal training. My good friend, Dr. Bob Bailey, and Phung Luu. Where are you, Phung?
I'm in the state of Delaware, Kirsten.
Can you tell the audience? Well, actually, I'll back up. I met Phung Luu in 2002 at a chicken workshop in Hot Springs.
Such a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. But then I saw you again in 2015 at another chicken workshop.
Yes, that's right.
So I feel an affinity to you because every time I think of chicken workshops, you were always there learning with me. Can you tell me a little bit about what you do and then how you found the chicken workshops and Bob and Marion's work?
Yeah, first off, it's great to be here with you too. It's an amazing opportunity to get to chat with you. You know, every few years we get to bump into each other. So this is nice. And thanks for the invite, by the way, to come on. The workshop that I attended, it's really given me some valuable insights into what we do. You know, I come to the training world before I attended Bob's workshop, more of a instinctual trainer, right? Kind of a shoot from the hip kind of guy, you know, and I learned a lot from the animals. But the workshop gave me a different perspective, you know, where it was a little bit more structure, a little bit more systematic, you know, so you thought through the process a little bit more. So it allowed me to really merge the two philosophies. And it's made me a better trainer as a consequence.
That's amazing to hear because you have to be one of the smoothest, if not the smoothest trainers I've ever had the privilege to witness working a chicken.
Oh, stop.
Can you tell us, I mean, you and Bob are good friends, so I can't wait for you two to start talking, but can you tell me how you found their work? Like what brought you in there? Because you were experiencing success before. What was missing? What were you looking for?
I think friends of ours had just introduced me to Bob and the workshop. And, you know, I'm always very open to learn from anybody, really. You know, if given the opportunity, I want to listen, I want to watch, and I want to learn. By nature, I'm an observer. I love to observe, you know, and I love to go out in the park and just watch people, you know, and having an opportunity to see other people work and other people train, I welcome that, you know. So if there's an opportunity, I'll jump on it. And I heard some great things about Bob's workshop, and I had the opportunity to attend, and so I did.
Let's give people the background on what you do, what your company does. And were you already doing that in 2002 when you came to your first workshop? And did you know that Bob and Marion had done animal shows and worked so extensively with birds?
No, I didn't know the extent of Bob and Marion's work. I just knew that they were involved in training for a very long time, so there's a history behind the work, but I didn't know the extent of it until I was there and learned from Bob, as he explained it. I came to the workshop with some foundation in training for bird shows and for rehab as well. I started working in rehab. I had done some work flying falcons at Air Force bases as part of abatement programs, managed nature centers and such, so a little bit of everything, right? And I really enjoy working with the animals, bird focus, and I also wanted to do a little bit more education as well. So I wanted to merge all of those things together. And having the opportunity to attend the workshop just allowed me to really, it was a different perspective from how I was operating. Again, I was more of an instinctual trainer, just let the animal tell me what I needed to do. But what it lacked was the system, right? And at the time when I was working for the company, I was mainly doing the bird shows and traveling to set up bird shows. But as I got deeper into the work, I was teaching more, I was consulting more. And so that system that Bob had put on lends itself better, better equipped. It better equipped me to be able to teach others, right? So you can explain a little bit better. Whereas when I was training by myself, that's how I did it. I just said, that's how I did it. So it's harder to explain, right? But with a system, then it made it easier to explain to others.
So, Bob, there you go again, being credited for systematizing animal training. Can you tell me what you thought when you first saw Phung Luu training, when he came through your class and you learned that he had such work with birds?
Well, let me back up just a little bit. Phung and I really come from the same area, an instinctual trainer, because the first time I was training, and forget about my training ants on
As a kid.
As a kid. My first training was out in the middle of the Mojave Desert, training coyotes and kangaroo rats and things like that. And although I had read Skinner, because I'd taken psychology, and I knew about the Brelands, I really didn't know anything about the work they were doing, and frankly didn't give it all that much thought, because as Phung did, I just looked at the animals and they kind of told me what to do. Now, the systematization really came later on with the Brelands, when I really had to put my mind to how can I really produce the most amount of behavior working with all of these people and in the shortest period of time. And Keller and Marion and Kent Burgess and I did a lot of discussion. But then we can start moving forward, because I did begin to systematize, and I began to develop systems, actual systems for training the animals. But as I said, I felt an immediate kinship with Phung, because when I saw what he did and listened to him describe what he was doing, I just turned the clock back, like 30, 40 years, and that's what I was doing at first. And Phung is really great at it. Again, I've watched him train, and he does combine very well systematizing things, but changing quickly. I could see him when he was training. He saw something that wasn't there before, and he changed his behavior rapidly, and that's great. That is observing. And of course, when you're out in the field, as Phung was, that he learned to observe behavior. And I wish so many other animal trainers, particularly dog trainers, would spend more time looking at the animal and really seeing the animal, not what they would like for the animal to be doing, but what the animal is doing. And so often that's not the case. And Phung was great in the classes, because virtually every time he was way ahead of everybody else in the class, because he would see the chickens. he would really see the chickens and so many others there. They're not seeing the animals. They're not feeling themselves. And I'm sure Phung recognizes that he feels himself. He knows where his body is.
The appropriate.
As far as I can see, Phung is the next thing to a ballet dancer when he's training. All you have to do is watch Phung train, and you can see it. I saw it instantly in the chicken workshops because he handled himself far differently than most dog trainers. Most dog trainers, I'm afraid, are kind of caveman style, knuckle draggers or whatever you want to call them when they're training. Well, Phung is not that way. He's smooth. Birds don't like it when you move in a certain way around the bird. Dogs don't care a great deal. So anyway, it was a delight. And again, I feel this kinship with Phung. There are a few other trainers out there that I watched, and I could tell that they fit what Phung is calling an instinctual or instinctive trainer. And being able to combine the two, systematic and instinctual, and that really means seeing behavior and you react to it. That's this instinctual reaction that a good trainer would have. But most people have to develop it. And I had it, and Phung has it.
There you go. Now, did you get into birds when you were young, Phung? Like, where did the bird thing come from for you?
Well, I grew up in Vietnam, and so we were kind of in the rural region of the country. And as a kid, we were always out in the field. We were climbing trees to catch lizards and run into the rivers and the waters to try and catch the crabs, right? So I was always very connected to wildlife out there and getting in trouble. As I'm saying that, I hear Bob also getting in trouble out in the field as well. So that's the connection, and I feel like that introduction, those formative years helped me a lot in maintaining that connection. And it stayed with me ever since, just wanting to work with animals, just seeing the joy that they give us, that we can work with them. And it always stayed with me, and then just one thing led to another, as I went to school in the U.S. and went to University of Delaware and got a degree in animal science. So still in a very similar field. But the urge working with wildlife was still always there. And so I got involved with wildlife rehabilitation and worked with injured birds and treated them and for release, right? But as I was working, doing the work, I realized that we were just bandaging the situation because we were treating these birds that were injured. Probably, I would guess 80 and 90% of them were human-related causes, right? So they would get shot or they would fly into a window, they get hit by a car, they're an oil spill, so on and so forth. So I thought, all we're doing is just putting a bandage on and putting them back out there in the same exact situation. And so that's when I thought I needed to get ahead of it a little bit more and get into education. And so I went and did outreaches. My first bird that I trained was a screech owl, right? It was a wild rehab screech owl. And I took that bird into schools and, shared with the kids that were out there about birds. I think even kind of solidified even more for me why I needed to do it there was an incident when I went into the inner cities and we brought the owl out and the kids were terrified. They saw this little owl. The screech owl is like 5 inches tall or so on your hand, but they were terrified. So that told me, wow, we need to do this even more so, because they have no idea, there's no connection at all. And if they have no connection and they have no idea, why would they care, right? So, yeah, so I kept doing the work, and just one thing led to another. We worked at the Air Force bases to keep birds off the runway. And that was really great because, as a young guy out there, you're out there in the airfield all day long. We get in at sunrise and we pack the birds into the vehicle and we drive out on the runway and we watch cool jets fly around and we fly Falcons, all day long. And then at sunset, we pack the birds and went back home, So that was a dream job, but it missed the education component. right? So at some point, I went back to training birds for bird shows. And yeah, one thing led to another. To now, we're managing our own work, our company, where we do a couple things. We produce bird shows for zoos and aquariums, and I also teach for zoos and aquariums, teach their staff, right? And so that full circle moment where the skills that I learned through Bob's workshop is really where I find it most useful in the consultation aspects of what we do now. And I still say some of the things that Bob taught us as well. You know, I use it and I share where it came from with our students, right? Like bridge for behavior and reinforce for position. That's my number one, you know, that I always go to. And because people don't see it. It's just not relevant in their mind until we make a point of it. So yeah, there's lots of things that come back when I go and consult for people.
That's great. Do you ever use chickens as a teaching model? Because when I think back, you were the one who taught me how to hold a chicken. And I'm laughing because if you'd have told me then that I would be doing this now, I would not have believed you. And I wished I'd have paid attention more.
No, we don't use chickens in the shows, right?
I mean, for educating
we
the
use
zoos.
more exotic birds. Oh yeah. Well, no, when I go to consult for the zoos, it's just me. You know, I just bring me. And usually it's really about the convenience of it too. And so when we're there, we use their animals, you know, for their staff to work with. If I brought animals of my own, it adds another level of complexity. And so we just use what they have.
I am curious, how resistant, let's go kind of industry-wide, when you're going to the zoos, how resistant do you find, and I know there are different classifications, you got the zookeepers, you have those people who are actually supposed to be responsible for behavioral conditioning and the environmental enrichment and all this sort of thing. How resistant do you find the zoo community to what you are offering them?
Yeah, we used to see that more often, Bob, where, you know, you see the traditional trainer / keeper actually, right, where their argument is that, well, I don't want to influence their behavior, is what they say, you know. Then if we have a conversation and we say, yeah, we're influencing their behaviors every single day, you know, every single minute. But that used to be like that, but it's gotten much better. I think culturally we've shifted. You know, people are a little bit more educated. And if anything, I'm seeing it go possibly too far the other side. We're not adhering to what's needed, but we're moving too far to the other side from a philosophical perspective. Let's say, for example, you know, we really want to train and not use anything negative and nothing negative at all, right? So completely positive, where it depends on the interpretation. Some trainers take that down the wrong path, and then it actually becomes harmful to their program, you know, because they're over practicing a certain philosophy and a certain skill set. And so that's what I'm seeing, yeah, right? We overcorrected from the resistant to wanting to do too much, you know, probably beyond what most people are capable of, right? But the philosophy sounds nice, and so people kind of jump on board and they want to do it, but it wouldn't set them up for success if that's what they were actually going to do.
Are you saying that maybe some people are too much, I'm going to say, at the show end of it? They want to be conditioning behaviors that really are totally irrelevant to the actual care or environmental enrichment. Is that what you're saying, that people want to be too showy about what they're getting?
Not necessarily showy, but more of, look what we can do behaviorally.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, look how far we can take it. Mm-hmm. But at some point, it becomes impractical to go that far.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you know, to be fair, we can say that it's possible to go that far. But at some point, you have to ask the question, is it practical? Is it resource appropriate? Mm-hmm. You know, where, yeah, you can do that, but it's going to take you so much more resources, but you're not really gaining all that much. But philosophically, yeah, we can do that.
Sure. That's good. Again, I can compare that to what it was like in the 50s and 60s, and it's "don't mess with my animals" was usually the response you got when you had some suggestions for even husbandry behaviors and the like. It's just "don't mess with my animals," and I'm sure you must have heard that a few times.
Oh, sure. But we don't hear that as much anymore, again, because I think culturally, society is moving, and also the institutions have got to keep up as well, right? And so that comes from the top down, So especially now with the professions and the professionals that are coming in, these younger folks coming in, they're coming in with fresh ears, right? So they're prepared and they're ready to listen to the direction of it. So that's why we're not really getting the resistance. If anything, like I said, they're a little bit too anxious, to do too much.
There's a little glamour to being able to control that animal and fly that egret or whatever it happened to be that you're doing. I can see that.
Yeah.
Are you an animal trainer ready to sharpen your skills to a legendary level? Or a corporate leader looking for a fresh, powerful way to boost team dynamics, decision-making, and leadership? Discover Kirsten's Chicken Workshops, an immersive 5-day experience rooted in the science-based curated exercises of the legendary Bob and Marion Bailey. Train a live chicken using the principles of operant conditioning, like positive reinforcement. Why chickens? They're fast, honest teachers that instantly reveal where you need to improve your training skills. No fluff, just real results that transfer to dogs, horses, or any species you want to train, and even to leading people more effectively. Trainers call it life-changing. Dr. Bob Bailey himself endorses it as the ultimate mechanical skill builder. So visit Kirsten'sChickenWorkshops.com right now and sign up for the waitlist. Spots fill fast. Train a chicken, change the way you train and lead forever. Head to Kirsten'sChickenWorkshops.com today. I'm usually glad I'm not on camera, but I wish you guys could see the owl that's sitting on a branch behind Phung's head. Will you tell me a little bit about that owl?
Yeah, be the teacher.
Yeah, this
Phung.
is Marge. Yeah.
That's Marge. What is Marge, and where did Marge hatch from?
Yeah, Marge is a white-faced owl, which is a species normally found in Africa, and she's the northern subspecies of the white-faced owl. And she's about 3 years old, and I hatched her. I hatched her from an egg, and I raised her from day one, because a lot of times with animals that have got a little bit more of the wild, non-domesticated animal in them still, right? They don't have the natural instincts as much as we think sometimes that they have natural instincts. They don't. Some of it has to be learned as well. And so the parents had failed at incubation initially. And so when Marge's egg was laid, I had to pull the egg because I knew they would fail at incubating the egg. So therefore I incubated artificially and I raised her. I hatched her and I raised her. And so Marge gets to hang out with us when we have conferences, and she entertains everybody by just sitting there looking like an owl.
Right. Yeah. And I have to ask, do you ever sleep? Because Phung will send pictures. He's constantly feeding baby birds and an amazing species from around the world. So yeah,
sleep. We normally say I can sleep when I'm dead. I'm constantly on the go. And my trip to St. Louis, I went out to the St. Louis Zoo recently, and there's always things to do. And this is the middle of breeding season too, right? So we're producing some of these birds for our program, but we also send them out to our colleagues as well. And so this is right in the middle of breeding season. For us, it starts from middle of February until June, July. So it's quite a long season because we have different species that we work with. So right before I headed out to the St. Louis Zoo, I'm, buttoning up things and taking care of things. And I got babies and eggs hatching, as I'm heading out. And so I slept for 3 hours and I hit the road and drove for 15 hours, so that's the life that we lead. And that's what we do. We just got to step it up when we have to.
We just finished a discussion with Simon Prince, and he talked about cooperation, about trying to foster cooperation between people that are involved in animal care and training and the like. Well, you just mentioned about cooperating with other people. You're talking about cooperating with colleagues elsewhere. How long has that been going on, that finding other people cooperative with your program and you're cooperating with them?
You mean when we're heading out to a facility to consult, Bob? Is that
yes,
what you're asking?
or whatever it is you're doing that, let's just say that you have a surplus in certain animals, or there is something you have just come up with in the treatment of whatever. How much information do you put out, and how much information do you get from other people? And I'm talking about, let's say, industrial cooperation between those who are involved in the care, maintenance, husbandry, if you will, of animals in the zoo environment.
Yeah. So I absorb a lot more than I put out, So again, it goes back to me, right? My personality. So if there's information out there, I'll slurp it up and I'll absorb it. I'll absorb as much as I can. As far as me putting out there, it's more on a personal level, right? So I'm not the personality where I'm going to go out there and say, hey, look what I'm doing. But if I'm working with an institution, then I'll give them everything I have, right? So it's on that personal level.
Understand.
I enjoy that a lot more, Yeah. And so, when I go to a facility and I'm working with them, they'll get everything that I have. But I get a little bit, there's less for me to simply put it out there for the world. And that may be just a cultural thing. How I'm influenced that way. Growing up, we're just not shaped or not taught to just say, hey, look at me, look what I'm doing, right? So that's how it kind of shaped me. But when given an opportunity, I also love to share what we're doing with the folks that we're working with.
Well, certainly we have been together in programs where you have been there demonstrating to others how to handle, how to care for, how to do simple training steps. So I've certainly seen you share that with lots of people. And I believe for their benefit. They're better after listening to you than before.
Yeah, well, I hope so. But I also maintain the philosophy that I don't want to shove anything down anyone's throats, And so I welcome when someone wants something from me. If they ask, I'm happy to share it. But again, I'm not of the mentality that you must do it the way I say, Usually when I'm teaching, I give a couple options.
Yeah, I certainly understand that, and I've never seen you try to foist your ways. Just describe what you are doing, and doing a very good job of it.
Yeah, even when we're explaining a procedure to our colleagues, I will always give them at least a couple options, right? So even if they're both coming from me, but there's always options that they can choose. So it's not always it has to be this way. And I tell them the only time that I'll insist on anything is if it has to do with safety, right? So if it has to do with safety for the animal, or if it has to do with safety for the trainer, then I'll insist and I'll let you know it. But otherwise, there's always a choice, because I think people learn differently.
There are many pathways up the mountain, certainly.
And that approach for me has worked well for me, and I think it's worked well for the people that I've worked with as well.
And for your animals, too.
Yes, right. Yes. We do side projects, too. And so we were at a wedding recently at the Audubon Nature Center. And I brought a hornbill with me during their ceremony. So this was more of a bonus thing for them because we do a little bit more meet and greet with the rest of the guests after the ceremony. So this wasn't part of it. But I thought I'd surprise them and just give them something extra. So I brought the hornbill out there. And so she's out there hanging out with me. She's free-flighted, of course. And then at the end, when they're pronouncing man and wife, right? So I let her fly out there, and it's just almost like the fireworks version, but it's a bird, right? So she's flying out there, and she's doing her thing, catching food and landing trees and such. And a lady came back to me after, and she gave me the compliment, which comes back to what we're talking about here. And she said that she loved the way that the hornbill worked, because we weren't demanding anything of her. right? That she had a choice, that when she was out there, she came back when she was ready to come back, so I wasn't insistent that she had to fly here, she had to fly there. So that kind of rings a bell when you had mentioned too, that we do give the animals the option. So that just kind of came back in my mind of recent memory of how that was applied with that hornbill. And so people see it too, right?
Yeah, you make it worthwhile to come back. Yes, indeed.
Yeah,
sure.
right. So we're always more valuable for sure. But I think, it's what was nice for me to hear was that people recognize it, right? So the society is more educated too, so they understand it. They understand when they see something, then they say, wow, that's good. That's what we want to see.
It's almost time to wrap this up, and I'm so grateful that you were able to meet with us. If a young entrepreneur, because you're absolutely an entrepreneur, in animal training wants to, I don't want to say follow in your footsteps, but pursue a career similar to yours, what you would say is going to be the best educational opportunities they could take advantage of? And also, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, how do they find Phung Luu?
I would say, from my perspective, if anybody wants to pursue anything, from my perspective, it should start with passion. I think they have to really enjoy what they do and then pursue it. That's always been my advice to folks I talk to, because in my experience, when the passion is there, it helps when it's hard. In any profession, it's not always going to be easy. There's going to be hard times as well. But if you enjoy what you're doing, the hard times aren't going to be that hard. But if you don't really enjoy what you're doing, if the passion isn't there and you're just in it for the money, when it's hard, it's going to be really hard. So I would say start with passion and then go from there. And if you do anything good, if you do anything well, it'll pay eventually. The world will recognize that.
So if someone wants to find out more about what you're doing and get in touch with you or see some of the stuff you're putting out there, how do they find you? Do you have a website or?
If they want to find me, they probably have to contact you, Kirsten, through Kirsten's Chicken Workshop.
He's just getting me back for all the nice things we said about him that I know made him uncomfortable. But
yeah,
I just want to say one more thing. I really look up to Phung Luu, and he's helped me. I don't have the same nervous system he has. He's so chill and everything, and stuff gets to me. And one day I was talking to him, and a lot of stuff was getting to me, and I was very discouraged by the project. And he just said, "What do you mean? You're already doing it. You are doing it." And that just kind of made me stop and pause. And thank you, because I needed to hear that. I didn't feel like I was doing it.
Yeah, we just got to keep going. As long as we love it, just keep going, Yeah, to answer your question seriously, I actually am pretty low key, as my personality is the same. And so I don't put myself out there to the world. So if someone wants to get a hold of me, they kind of have to look for me. We do have a Facebook page. It's called Animal Behavior and Conservation Connections. And my email address is on there.
Okay, great.
And so they can reach me there if they need to find me.
That's perfect, because to me, you are one of the most inspirational people, not just animal trainers, but people that I've ever met. And if it wasn't for Bob, we never would have met. So thanks. Thanks again.
Kirsten, we're very proud of you for doing what you're doing and taking this to this level and recruiting Bob back into the scene again. So we get to get a little bit more of him. Thank you. Thanks so much. Until the next time, stay curious, have fun, and channel your inner Phung Luu. Before we wrap, let's pull out 3 key insights from this episode with the amazing and wonderful Phung Luu. First, the shift from instinctual to systematic training, how embracing structure inspired by Dr. Bob Bailey's chicken workshops brings greater clarity and impact. Second, the essential role of observation, truly seeing and responding to the animal in front of you, whether in the desert or the classroom. And third, the power of passion. When you love what you do, even the toughest seasons become opportunities.
Until next time, stay curious, keep observing, stay passionate, and remember, every connection begins with respect and a willingness to learn. Thanks for listening. We'll see you on the next Precision Animal Training episode. Thanks for listening to the Precision Animal Training Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, rate, and review us wherever you listen. It helps spread the word to more trainers like you. Share the show with a friend who could use a behavior breakthrough. Want to dive deeper into precision animal training? Head to kirstenschickenworkshops.com to learn about the workshops, sign up, or join the waitlist for the next series. That's kirstenschickenworkshops.com, where legendary science-based behavioral technology meets tomorrow's top trainers. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, remember, train a chicken, change the way you train forever. This show was edited and produced by Johnny Gwynn at Deep Fried Studios.